Hello, everybody. It's me, ya boy. Steve decided to go live without me today, so I decided to go live without him today. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. I'll be done before he goes live. We're good to go. Don't worry. This is gonna be a relatively short one, but I thought this right here was really interesting, so I thought we could read through it because I think it will be worth discussing on that time of the month, but I wanted to give you guys the sort of like let you guys see the article before we started talking about it, so you guys would have like a little bit of a better basis of what was going on. As you can see, I just got out of the shower. I'm all wet. So let's get this rolling. Researchers identify a new personality construct that describes the tendency to see oneself as a victim. And I'm gonna let you guys in the chat decide on if you recognize any of this from any of your dealings, either in your life in real life or your life online. Wherever. You may or may not have come across this before. New personality construct has been defined that describes people who persistently see themselves as victims within interpersonal conflicts. The research was published in Personality and Individual Differences. Study authors Rahav Gabay, I'm gonna go with Gabay, sorry, and team describe how the social world is satiated with interpersonal transgressions that are often unpleasant and seemingly unwarranted, such as being interrupted when speaking. While some people can easily brush these off these moments of hurt, others tend to ruminate over them and persistently paint themselves as a victim. The authors present this feeling of being the victim as a novel personality construct that influences how people make sense of the world around them. Researchers call it the tendency for interpersonal victimhood, or TIV, which they define as, quote, an ongoing feeling that the self is a victim which is generalized across many kinds of relationships, end quote. Through a series of 8 studies among Israeli adults, Gabay and associates sought to test the validity of the construct of TIV and explore the behavioral, cognitive, and emotional consequences of such a personality trait. Hi, Bool. An initial 3 studies established the TIV as a consistent and stable trait that involves 4 dimensions: moral elitism, a lack of empathy, the need for recognition, and rumination. A follow-up study further found that this tendency for victimhood is linked to anxious attachment, an attachment style characterized by feeling insecure in one's relationships, suggesting that the personality trait may be rooted in early relationships with caregivers. Next, 2 studies offered insights into the cognitive profile of those with TIV. The studies had participants consider scenarios that involved another person treating them unpleasantly, either by having subjects read a vignette. If anybody doesn't know what a vignette is an example. They had them read through sort of like a hypothetical scenario. Scenario would be a good word. Describing a partner giving them poor feedback, study 3, or by having subjects play a game that ended with their opponent taking a larger share of the winnings, study 4. Interestingly, the 2 studies that found that those who scored higher on the measure of TIV were more likely to desire revenge against the person who wronged them. In study 4, this desire for revenge also translated into behavior. So that's where you see the jump from what you might want or what you might feel to actually taking action. Those high in the TIV were more likely to remove money from their opponent when given the chance, despite being told that this decision wouldn't increase their own winnings. Participants high in TIV also reported experiencing more intense negative emotions and higher entitlement to immoral behavior. Meditation analysts offered insight into how this revenge process unfolds. Quote, "The higher participants' TIV, the more they experienced negative emotions and felt entitled to behave immorally. However, only the experience of negative emotions predicted behavioral revenge." End quote, the author reports. I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute and let you guys think about that for a sec. Gabay and colleagues expressed that their studies indicate that the tendency for interpersonal victimhood is a stable personality trait that is linked to particular behavioral, cognitive, and emotional characteristics. Quote, "Deeply rooted in the relations with primary caregivers," end quote, the research describes. Quote, "This tendency affects how individuals feel, think, and behave in what they perceive as hurtful situations throughout their lives." The research suggests that TIV as a construct offers a framework for understanding how a person's interpretation of social transgressions can inform feelings of victimhood and lead to revenge behaviors. These insights could inform therapeutic practices for treating such cognitive biases. The author suggests that it would be particularly interesting for future studies to explore what happens when people high in TIV are in positions of power. The researchers wonder whether leaders with this persistent tendency to see themselves as a victim might feel more inclined to behave, quote, "in a vindictive way." And this is the authors and where the study took place, and here is the study. So, the tendency for interpersonal victimhood, the personality construct, and its consequences. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to read you guys the abstract, and then you can look up this on your own time, and hopefully we'll get to talk to it a little bit later, or talk about it. Maybe just continuing the conversation on Twitter is fine, but I really did want to show you guys this. So here we go. Abstract. In the present research, we introduce a conceptualization of the tendency for interpersonal victimhood, TIV, which we define as an enduring feeling that the self is a victim across different kinds of interpersonal relationships. Then, in a comprehensive set of 8 studies, we develop a measure for this novel personality trait, TIV, and examine its correlates, as well as its effective cognitive and behavioral consequences. In Part 1, Studies 1A to 1C, we established the construct of TIV with its 4 dimensions, i.e., need for recognition, moral elitism, lack of empathy, and rumination, and then assess TIV's internal consistencies, stability over time, and its effect on the interpretation of ambiguous situations. In Part 2, Studies 2A and 2C, we examined TIV's convergent and, discriminant validities. Using several, I didn't pre-read this one, I read the other one and then I ran out of time and I was like, crap. Using several personality dimensions and the role of attachment styles as conceptual antecedents. And me. In Part 3, Studies 3 to 4, we explore the cognitive and behavioral consequences of TIV. Specifically, we examine the relationships between TIV, negative attribution, and recall biases, and the desire for revenge, Study 3, and the effects of TIV on behavioral revenge, Study 4. The findings highlight the importance of understanding, conceptualizing, and empirically testing TIV and suggest that victimhood is a stable and meaningful personality tendency. there you go. So these will be in the description, but I'm also going to put them in the chat so you guys have access to finding this stuff if you are so interested. That didn't copy properly. Why did that happen? There we go. That was weird. Let's just remove that. That was dumb. Boop. There we go. So I'm going to give you guys this here, and I'm also going to... Boop. It'll also be in the description down below, so if you guys are interested in reading more about it, you can look it up. That's, here's the, I'll zoom in on this real quick so you guys can have it. Zoom in. The study, the tendency for interpersonal victimhood, the personality construct, and its consequences. So if you guys decide to go look at this a little bit more or a little bit further, you want to look into it, you can do that. I zoomed in too much. Boop. There we go. Move that over. There you go. So, yeah, there you go. If you are so interested or so inclined, I would like to discuss this further. I think it's really interesting, and I think it'll be fun. Maybe a little fun we can have on Twitter is, if you see this, or if you think you're seeing this, point it out. Let people know. See if this is a thing that we can, maybe we can get a little bit of a kick out of. That's it from me. Like I said, I was gonna be short. I wasn't gonna be too long. I figured I'd be between 10 and 15 minutes, and we're at the 12-minute mark. So, Steve is going live in, what, just over 15 minutes? So, I'll probably see you guys in the chat over there. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll have to go back and reread a lot of the live chat, because I missed a lot of it, because this is really interesting to me, and I think that, I just thought you guys would like it, and, I hope we can cover it more at a later date. I don't know if we'll maybe do it this Monday. We might wait till later. But I thought this was really cool, and I hope you guys liked it. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.